Hello, everyone.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Hello, Mahiar. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great.
Good. Nice to see you.
Same here. Same here. See,
Likewise.
so we just quickly wanted to check that you guys are.
I think Anand, you can just brief about the audience to uh, Mahiar sir and
Yes,
exactly like whom they are all, and then meanwhile, after 2 3 minutes, we should start the session.
sure, sure. So, Mr. Mayar, like we have this group of again people from all different corners of India. So some of them are pursuing course, some of them have just completed the course, done the online course with us. So I mean, it's a good blend of students what we have in this today's session. That they will get an opportunity to hear you out.
Great.
Is my is it getting fluctuated? Because I guess I'm able to see some fluctuations here with internet. Mr. Rahul, is my voice clear to you? I mean, is that clear?
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Great.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Can
Hello.
we hear everyone talking or no? How many people are joined so far?
It's almost 24, 25 participants. So it's a probable list. Half of them already completed their course, and the newcomers are also here for the second batch of Diamond
Oh,
Graduate.
great.
So it's a blend. We always give this kind of a see off to our students. So the experienced one can give a real feedback of IIG to the new ones.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, nice to have everyone. And for those who have gone through the course, congratulations. I had the opportunity to look and see how the introduction to the diamond course and to the diamond industry course works. And I hope it was fruitful for all of you. And I wish you luck on your endeavors in the diamond industry. I got into this industry about 17 years ago from a completely different world, more of the technology and service industry in the consultancy aspect. And I've had the pleasure of seeing the diamond value chain from all aspects of it, from mining um, as an executive at De Beers, mining roughly about 32 million carats every year, um, and and basically consolidating and putting the goods together on the rough diamond side and selling it to our customers, which we call site holders. Then, as one of the executives at Venus Jewel, which is a prominent diamond manufacturing company. So got to see how the diamonds that are purchased are then planned and polished and marketed downstream. And throughout that, as well as my current role as the president of Uni, worked with a lot of retailers from luxury maisons all the way to independent retail stores around the world to wholesalers and jewelry manufacturers in creating various different products that will help our partners and our customers be able to sell diamonds downstream to their customers. So have had a lot of experience on virtualizing the diamond industry, if you will, and taking it from a physical product to developing stories to be able to tell on a virtual side of our industry. So have had quite a bit of experience around the how and what can work and what has worked, and how this industry is transforming to meet the consumer's needs who may not physically want to start their diamond shopping journey, if you will. I'd love this to be more of a question and answer session. If you have questions, if you could just, raise your hand or just speak. I'm sure it would be welcomed to respond. But I thought, since we're having this conversation, I should show you what we do at Uni, show you the experience and information that Uni can provide, because as you graduate, unless you already have a job in the diamond industry, unless you're already working within the industry itself, and even if you are working within the industry, there's always a question of pricing, information, data, so on and so forth. So I think it's best to kind of walk you through and talk about what Uni does, and what we've been able to accomplish for the industry itself. So any questions before I start? Anywhere that you'd like me to emphasize before I begin?
Sorry to interrupt you, Mahiar. I just want Anand to officially introduce you to our audience. So please,
Sure.
Anand, introduce Mr. Mahiar. Unmute yourself.
Someone's on mute, yeah.
Yeah. So, sir, as you have already introduced yourself, though, but I would just like to add a few more points to the team. First of all, a very warm welcome to everyone team here. And I would say I'm looking forward to be a very interactive audience, because I really want to take this opportunity out to have interaction with Mahiar sir when he's with us. And team, I would like to say that you must have already heard what the experience what sir is coming with us through here at this platform. What I would say is that his leadership team exemplifies the brilliance of his persistence and the power of his visionary thinking team. The amount of interaction, the amount of blend what he have gained in this industry team, that is something very valuable for us to know his insights, so that we all at start of our careers can get that right directions where we should look forward to. So I would request everyone to make this opportunity worth, make this his valuable time worth for us. That's one thing. And also team, his journey have second of inspiration, illuminating path for others to following ever evolving landscape in diamond industry team. So let's make best use of this platform. And sir, once again, IIG welcomes you to this platform, and thank you so much for coming here with us. Thank you.
Thanks for that introduction. All right.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, let me just explain what Uni is. Uni is a data aggregator for the diamond industry. When I was at Venus, I saw about 20 years worth of data and information that we had specifically on the +1 carat diamonds that we polished. And a lot of companies would log into the Venus website and try and figure out what market prices are, because if you look at the +1 carat area, we had a lot of expertise in that area, and therefore our price was pretty much what the market considered to be market price. You guys have all heard about, people talking about market prices and transparency around market prices. I'm really happy to say that we're the only platform that actually provides data and information to the industry that allows people to be able to really truly understand where the market prices are, based on actual prices, and how the market is trending based on actual market prices. So we analyze roughly about 400 different companies, 430 some odd companies, roughly about more than 1.2 or 1.3 million diamonds on a daily basis. That's roughly, if you consider, about $3.6 billion of diamonds that we're analyzing on a daily basis. That allows us to be able to say where market prices are, how the supply and trend in the market is moving, and what's happening within the industry overall. We've been analyzing this data for the past 5 years, and we provide you with data and information about the market, supply and demand and trends, as well as allow you to be able to buy diamonds through our platform. And I think, you know, a good way of being able to do this is to actually share my screen and show you the platform itself. And then while we're going through all this stuff, we'll talk about how diamond prices work and what's transpired, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what you'll see on the screen at the very, very front is basically how diamond prices have moved from 2021 until today. And what you'll see is this huge spike in pricing that came about roughly around March, end of March of 2022, and then a decrease in natural diamond prices that has brought the prices down to 20% basically from the index, from the original index of 2021. So if we were to compare it to 100% here and go down farther, the prices have come down about 20%, though the prices went up roughly about 42% in the market. Now, for those who are coming into the industry and wondering what the hell happened, and why this transpired and why this occurred, this happened because of the lockdowns of COVID. So imagine you're locked down in COVID, and you cannot go out, you cannot do anything. You're either with the person that you love or you're away from them. And suddenly the world starts opening up, and what opens up first are the retail stores that are around you, more so than travel and or anything else that's out there. And people, quite frankly, were quite scared of traveling around the world when the world first opened up. So what transpired was a lot of consumers actually going out, getting engaged, buying their loved ones a product, and jewelry retail was the first to actually really feel this demand coming in. And when the demand came in, the prices moved up higher and higher and higher. And the prices moved up purely because the supply in the market started decreasing and the availability of natural diamonds started decreasing. And what that yielded for the industry was less availability, a lot more demand, and therefore this increase in prices until about 2022, when really the world started opening up. People were not afraid of traveling anymore. People were not afraid of doing other things other than buying jewelry and luxury products for their loved ones to tell them that they love them and appreciate them, etc. And when that happened, the demand started decreasing. And when the demand started decreasing, that's when you started seeing this kind of drop that you've seen. And as you can see from about October of last year till today, the prices are somewhat comparable, right? So they haven't really changed very much. They're actually quite flat in regards to where market prices are. So congratulations, you've come in at a very stable time in the industry and not a time of fluctuations within the industry. But in addition to that, the other data and information that we actually provide is a much more in-depth information and data about market prices from the last 365 days to even from yesterday to today, and how the prices have changed. We like to look at things more statistically valid, so either 7 days or 30 days. So when you look at the past 30 days, you see a lot of greens on the screen. And that is purely because prices have started stabilizing, demand is starting to stabilize, and that's a positive place to be. Now, a litmus test for the industry for polished diamonds is usually around an H color VS1 or VS2. That's usually kind of where the market kind of figures out how everything is and how the world is going, because not only independent retailers but also luxury retailers buy this specific product. And if we click on that specific area, you can see how the prices have changed in the past 365 days. So 24% down from a year ago to today, and not much change in the past 30 days, not much change in the past 90 days, a slight change from yesterday to today, or last 7 days, if you will. And if we actually want to look at that more specifically to understand what's going on within the industry and why the prices have become what they have, what you'll get is an analysis specifically of where market prices are. Now, this is very, very important, because what you'll see is this is truly what the average market price is for 1 carat HVS2 XXX no fluorescence diamond is $3,782. Now, we all know when you look at a XXX diamond, excellent cut, excellent polish, excellent symmetry, you have things that are 1.00 carat with a 61% table, and the depth of about 62%, which is, you know, a nice diamond. It's still XXX, but it's at the very, very edge of the XXX. And then you have like a 58 table with 61 point something percent depth, and really nice, beautiful diamond. And that would be more on the upper end, the better quality, better product with, let's say, the perfect faceting, the PKs or inclusions within the stone being white and not centered, and really a stunning stone, if you will. For those types of stones, you'd expect to pay somewhere around $4,000 a carat. Now, if we look at how the prices have changed in the past 180 days, you can see that there are actual changes within this specific product itself. Within the past 30 days, you can kind of see a zigzag of how the prices have moved from 3,800 to slightly below that. But what's really interesting and important is the supply and demand that you'll see. Now, if you look at the past 180 days, you see that the supply is coming down and the demand is picking up. But if you look at the past 30 days, you see that the supply is coming up and the demand is coming up for the goods. Now, what's changed? Well, in the latter part of last year, um, the Indian community that polishes more than 90% of the diamonds of the world actually stopped importing diamonds into India. And what happened there was that there was a push and a stop around Diwali time of rough coming into the market, and therefore 30 to 60 days from then polish coming into the market. So if you look at the analysis of 180 days or 90 days, you see that supply is going down and demand is coming up for those goods, because Christmas season came, and you had Valentine's and Mother's Day and all this. So demand definitely started increasing for natural diamonds. But in the past 30 days, because in the latter part of December and in January, rough diamonds started being procured again by the manufacturers, polish is starting to come up. So you're seeing that the inventory in polish is risen by about 8%. And the demand for the diamonds, as you can see, is increasing drastically as well. So it's a good sign, which means that supply is going to be able to meet demand, which means that there will be a potential more of a stable pricing, if you will. If you look at the overall prices, you see that the prices are much more stabilized today, purely because the supply and demand aspect of the industry is being met. But in addition to that, we actually show what are the diamonds that are available today, based on average low, and average high prices. Not only you can see this data and information on the platform, you can also have the opportunity to try and look at those specific diamonds and be able to look at the details of those diamonds, and even perhaps consider purchasing those diamonds through the platform. So any diamond below average prices, all the details behind it, from length, width, depth, fluorescence, etc. But in addition to that, we also look at a lot of other things, like is the stone milky? Does it have any shades? Is it eye clean? Has the company gone through any ethical sourcing aspect, like De Beers' best practice principles, responsible jury council member, and also if they also have a tracer ID that is linked to those stones, where the stones are located, and key specific information about the stones as well. So lots of detailed information about the stones and where they are, and what information we can actually conclude from these guys. All of them are provided on the platform itself. More importantly, for any of the stones, you'd be able to see the videos of the stone. You'd be able to see the detailed information of the stone. You can share that information with anyone. And be able to see what, you can see the certificate, you can add it to your cart, you can delete it from your list, you can see all the detailed information as you wish through our platform. So this gives you a very good idea of what's happening within the market, and what market prices are, and how the market is moving. If you have a diamond that has a GIA certificate, you can actually input that GIA certificate number in here. And from there, you'll get the detailed information about the diamond, average high and low prices, and everything else about it as well. We had a lot of requests from our retail partners about understanding what's going on within the lab-grown world. So we incorporated a lab-grown analytics tool on here as well, that allows our partners to be able to see exactly what's going on within the lab part of the world. And if you look at how lab-grown prices have changed, You can see that the prices were around $2,000 a carat, and they've come down to around roughly about $200 a carat. Now, you see that there's a difference between IGI and GIA certifications of lab-grown diamonds. And that is purely based off of the cost of the certificates themselves, to be very honest and frank. Now, here, you don't see much supply and demand needs and requirements. Now, why is that? Can anyone tell me why you cannot see, if you see the graph, you see that the prices actually just kept coming down and kept coming down and have continued to come down? Can anyone tell me why that is?
Because of increased supply across the world due to more manufacturers coming into the market.
Who's the smart person that said that?
That's me, Yash.
Perfect.
Right.
And the answer is correct. Hello. The answer is correct. It's because of supply, but also a second factor, which I think the best way to explain it is if you go out and if you were to, let's say, for example, buy about 10 years ago, if you were to go buy a OLED TV, and everyone knows an OLED TV and a 4K OLED TV, for a 65-inch OLED TV at 10 years ago or 8 years ago, you would have paid somewhere around $9,500 for that product. Today, that same 4K TV you could buy for less than $1,000. It's about $780, right? As technology improves and as time continues to move ahead, a technology-based product will continue to decrease in price. So not only the volumes increased, like Samsung was the first that came out with an OLED 4K, and that's why the prices were $9,500. But as other competitive companies came out with their own TVs, and as the technology improved where you could actually make those TVs faster, much more effective, and with lower cost products, then the prices started coming down. And we're seeing the exact same thing with lab-grown diamonds. Lab-grown is a technological product, whether we like it or not. You know, we call it, some people call it identical to a natural diamond. It is identical to a specific type of natural diamond. And if you know the anatomy or chemistry of diamonds, there are usually 4 types of molecular bond structures of diamonds: type 2A, type 2B, type 1A, and 1B, right? And those are all based off of the bonding of molecular structures. A lab-grown diamond specifically resembles a type 2A diamond, which is basically a carbon-carbon bonding structure with minimal carbons being kicked out of their lattice and having empty spaces for things to actually connect onto it. So with that said, what you're getting is a specific product and a specific type of technology that has enabled the growth using high pressure, high temperature, or CVD, HPHD or CVD type of chambers that add the gases and the heat to be able to crystallize a lab-grown diamond off of interesting enough, a seed, which is a natural diamond. So you still have to have a seed of a natural diamond to be able to grow a CVD diamond in its purest form. Although there are some companies that are using now lab-grown starter seeds as well, but the quality of the product is not as pure and as beautiful as if it would be a natural diamond that starts the process. So as technology improves, prices will continue to decrease. In fact, if we look at the prices of natural diamonds, we forecast that it will continue to go down to somewhere around $50 to $60 a carat. Now, when that happens, a lot of retailers are not going to be able to utilize lab-grown for what they want, purely because they won't be able to make the margins that they need. If you buy something at $100, how much more margins are you going to put on it? Because if you put 10 times and sell it for $1,000, you make $900. If you're buying a product that's a natural product that was created and unearthed, that has a billion years of history, that product that was developed by Mother Earth more than a billion years ago, you know, in retail will cost $10,000, wholesale $5,000. You're making $4,000 to $5,000 on the product. So, you know, when you start looking at it, what makes more sense? Something that you can make a $4,000 to $5,000 margin on, or something that you can make $500 to $600 to $900 margin on. And you'll quickly see that a lot of the retailers will actually start transitioning back into natural diamonds and move away from lab-grown diamonds, and put lab-grown as things that are cheap and cheerful, Pandora type of materials, things that you can wear every day, things that you don't mind having it get lost or stolen, or you know, if something happens to it, it is what it is. It's a fashion product, if you will. So that is where we believe that the market is going to continuously move towards, and moving on to various other aspects of the industry for those who are data geeks like me. You can actually start seeing the amount of supply that has changed in various different shapes in the past certain number of days. So, for example, in rounds, if you look at the supply change here, what you get to see is, you know, there's a 52% change in those types of goods, right? So you're in the past 30 days. So in these items, supply is definitely getting to be a little bit more balanced, and that's why you're seeing better pricing. What's selling the most? A lot of our partners ask for item performance and how products sell, and what products sell more and what products sell less. What you'll be able to see here is specifically the items that are selling the most and items that are selling the least. So you can quickly be able to analyze and see, all right, in let's say in an area of 90 pointers, the specific areas of D color SI1s, based on availability, are selling better. So 40% of those goods in the past days have moved. What's selling the least? Internally flawless G colors in the 1 carat, in the 90 point carat area, where only 2% of those goods have moved. So if you're looking at this and you're trying to figure out, you know, where is availability? Where can I actually buy goods for my company or my organization that I can, you know, negotiate better, or I can be able to get a better pricing and information out of, you know, I'd focus on the reds. If you're looking at, if you're a manufacturer and you want to see how you compare against the market based on what you have available, you can actually look and see, all right, so D SI1 or JSI1, these are all interesting areas to look at and see how the goods have moved and what's happening within those areas. And if you look at the SI category, for example, right now, you can see that a lot of the SI category is in the green, which means that demand is coming back for those goods. And that's a good sign. It actually means that retailers who are in those categories of goods are seeing it worthwhile for them to come back and start purchasing in the SI category of goods and getting back into the industry and buying these types of goods. So it's a positive sign of where the market is going and what the market is doing. And obviously, you can do the same thing with ovals. You can look at the same information about pear shapes, etc., etc. Now, granted, it's less volumes. You have roughly in the market today, you have roughly about 70% rounds and about 30% fancy shapes. So there is a change in those specific areas. Has anyone raised their hand and wanted to ask a question?
Yeah. I just have a few questions here. I just wanted to know if, like, your tool definitely looked very interesting to me. And a quick question on that was basically the indexes that you showed, basically the price index on natural diamonds and the lab-grown diamonds. Are those inflation adjusted?
Are they inflation adjusted? Meaning
Like,
using the inflation of what country to actually... So short answer, no. It's not based on
right.
inflation
Okay.
adjustments.
Yeah, what I meant was, given that 2022 saw a very huge hike in inflation, and it also saw a huge hike in prices, so I was just trying to correlate both of those.
Understood. And the answer is no, we don't adjust it based on inflation, purely because you know, if you look at inflation as a whole, it doesn't always have exact correlations with demand for diamonds. In fact, we've seen at times where inflation increases the most, consumers are actually buying the most. Why? It's purely season driven, and you know, driven by marriage and relationship needs and demands. And also purely by marketing demands. If there's a new product that comes out that everyone wants to have, like Center of My Universe, which was a halo with a diamond, consumers think, oh, new product, I love it, I want to go buy it. There are some correlations around diamonds and presidential elections in the United States, interestingly enough. Where the year where the president is elected usually is a slower year, and the year after the president is elected becomes a much better and stronger year for the diamond industry. And I foresee that as the middle economy and up are kind of nervous about who's going to take over, what's going to happen with, you know, financial needs for a country and wars and other things, which will impact their desirability to want to buy luxury products. We have seen inflation. We have seen job correlations, and also wars have an impact on diamond purchases. Those who have seen the new G7 requirements for buying and selling diamonds know very well that Russian diamonds cannot enter any of the G7 countries anymore. So that has and will continue to impact the sale of diamonds, both natural and lab grown, because Russia does also have lab grown diamonds that they do sell. So there are correlations there as well. But a lot of the correlations that we saw were very much focused around supply and demand and how much goods were coming into the market versus how much were being purchased.
Thank you. Another question I had was around the index itself. were the indexes around like the end consumer index, or were they business index? So the data that is being used for it, is it
So we
considering the
we
prices
we
for end
debated,
consumer?
yeah, we debated a lot on whether we should actually put this out there for consumers to see, and we've opted not to because it is a B2B index.
Right.
And to put a B2B index in front of a consumer becomes you're basically showing what's happening within the mid-tier of the market to a consumer who rarely sees that. If you look at a natural diamond price in the retailer side of the world, unless you're talking about D flawlesses, which matches very similar to the index of what's happening within the market. Um, um, Retail goods of VS, SI, even VVS goods haven't changed very much, didn't fluctuate around very much, other than lab grown, where people were selling, retailers were selling lab grown when it first came out. It's somewhere around $5,000 to $6,000 a carat. Today they're selling it at around $2,000 to $1,500 a carat. And we've heard that Walmart is going to come up with a product that will be less than $1,000 a carat. This year for the holiday season, somewhere around $599 or $699 per carat. So with those sort of things on lab grown, consumers have seen something that they bought 5 years ago that they bought for $6,000 is now worth $2,000, and that has a negative impact for us in the natural diamond business, as well as lab grown. Because if you're buying a luxury product and you see that luxury product not keep its value on retail, and in fact drastically decrease in value, you basically pause and stop, and you tell your friends, and they tell their friends, which is really what's happening, by the way, in China. Yes, they have a housing crisis. Yes, they have issues and challenges in China overall, but they're still buying gold. Why? Because gold has an index, and they can see it, and they can see what's going on with it, and where the prices are going. But with diamonds, they saw this increase in price, a decrease in price. With lab grown, they saw a crash in the price. So they're basically sitting back and going, let's see what happens here. So unless they need to, they're not buying. And I believe that on the natural side, things will come out of its balance. What we've noticed is there's a 3 to 5 year cycle in natural diamonds where you see these price fluctuations. And as we're coming out of it, which I believe we are now coming out of it, in the next year or two, you're going to start seeing the demand in the Asian market come back up again.
Right. Thank you. Oh, sorry, and too many questions. What is the source of data that you are basically using for these tools? Like, is it your own collated data?
It's our own collated data and also our partners' collated data. So the manufacturers and the wholesalers and everyone else that we work with.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure.
That's really
great
insightful.
questions. Yash, what do you do?
I'm an actuary in London.
Ah, you're in London.
Yep.
I'm in London.
Oh, wow. We
Excellent.
may connect someday if you've got time.
Yeah, sure. No problem. You can get my contact information from the team if you like.
Sure.
I want to add something.
question.
Our online diamond course inspired Yash so much that he came here in India physically to just see how the diamond are getting manufactured in Surat. So we
Very nice.
at IIG, we try to arrange some kind of factory visit for our online student as well.
Oh, fantastic. Where'd you take them?
So I think Yash visited Fine Star and Green Lab, right? If I'm not
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Great. I mean, if I look at like Fine Star, they're one of my ideal manufacturers, right? When I first came into this industry,
Mhm.
I looked at manufacturing process overall, and it wasn't very efficient, unfortunately. And when I say efficiency, I'm a Lean Six Sigma guy. And what I saw in manufacturing is laser was, on one, all the way downstairs on one floor. And then you had, various different parts, the tops and the bottoms were in different places. And, everything was all over the place. And there was not a streamlined process where you could actually say from one area you're going to the next, to the next, to the next. And I saw Fine Star's most recent factory, and it is beautifully laid out where you can actually take a person through the flow of diamonds from them coming in, for them to actually be prepared, to be lasered, to be, um, uh, well, to be opened, to be lasered, to be sawn, and then every single step thereafter. It was
The
very, very nicely laid out, very efficient, really beautiful factory.
completely
So you
horizontal.
picked a good factory to show them.
Yeah. So we have a collaboration with Fine Stars, and we
Yeah.
make sure that all the students, at least in their tenure, they visit one of these kind of factories.
Great.
Yeah.
And there are some
Yeah, I would
really,
recommend
really
this. Very
phenomenal
interesting.
factories.
Mhm.
Fine Star has a phenomenal factory. SRK has a mind-blowing factory. HK has a very competitive factory, which,
Right.
again, I mean, they all have a very specific mindset, and that is, efficiency, teamwork, and productivity. And they do wonders with natural diamonds. And I can't forget naming Venus as well, because they were the first to actually come up with a factory that allowed for these sorts of efficiencies to come about, and manufacturing processes. So there are some great manufacturers in India who really took on figuring out productivity, ownership, and the delivery of diamonds in a different way. Venus in 1999 or 98 was the first company that went online.
Correct.
And I remember they were told, no one is ever going to buy your diamonds online. You're wasting your time. Who the hell buys a diamond? You got to physically look at a diamond before you buy it. If I look at it today, I think about 10, maybe 15% of the world even looks at diamonds anymore. They're buying it based off of the criteria that are put in. And Venus was so good at being able to say this is like a higher level H, higher level VS1 quality, etc. And they gave so much detailed information about a diamond that you really didn't need to physically see it. If someone were to tell me this is a N1, B1, blah, 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 I could envisage exactly what that diamond looks like in my head, and don't even need a picture or a video. But in addition to that, they gave the videos and pictures of the diamond, so you could really be able to see where the diamond is and what the diamond looks like. So we owe a lot of gratitude to the Indian manufacturing for getting our industry to a place where it is today, that people can actually buy without physically needing to see the stuff. So
Sure.
my hat off to the industry.
And so, with the same thought, I guess, we believe somewhere that why not to cross boundaries when it comes to education. And I guess
Yeah,
that's where he came into with this program, where he wanted to let every individual across the borders, if they want to learn diamond, then why cannot? I mean to say that was something IIG placed this program. So
yeah,
yeah, as you mentioned, there were few opinions where, like, how can a person can get trained for diamond online. And I guess Yash is one of our online students. So Yash, I mean to say, you can share how a feeling of going through this online learning of diamonds?
Yep, sure. I think it has been quite interesting for me. Like about 3.5 months back, I didn't really know what the four C's of diamond are. I just knew them by name, but what all in details do they actually require, and what all sits under them was something which was taught to me by Mr. Han. So yeah, thanks to him for that. And the online course other institutes have been offering, I think they don't really uh, match well with the course that is being offered by IG in terms of uh, the way of teaching that IG has. Mainly, like the courses that I saw in the industry were only theory based, whereas what IG actually taught me was about how to even hold the loop rightly or hold the tweezer rightly, how to assess it, how does microscoping come into picture, and how do you really correlate with everything, which actually helps you grade the diamonds. And yes, even pricing and marketing. So yeah, it was really insightful for me, and definitely the visits that they've arranged in Surat, that did a massive help to me as well. So yeah, thanks to you guys for that.
Very nice.
Nice. Thank you. You all are welcome.
So Yash, I'm curious, what are you planning on doing with your diamond knowledge now?
Yeah, so basically, I am intending to start off as a broker, an online or probably a drop shipper, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, that is how I'm willing to start, but I am open to a lot more ideas and basically figuring things out as I'm going ahead.
I think so.
Very good.
To Mahiar is must now for you. Obviously. And that's all.
Very good.
I was just remembering the past. I think how I met Mahiar sir, and I was so passionate about. I always, you all know, I was always passionate about education and diamonds. So that bring me to Mahiar sir, and the first time I got some appreciation of my work, it was him. And that time, I think he was working with Venus, and I was very curious to get Venus grading system to my syllabus. And he was the first person that said, "This is the good step what you are taking for yourself, and as good as for the Indian diamond industry as well." And yeah, I'm very glad to tell you, like so far we must have taught more than 500-600 students for Venus grading system. So we
Yeah.
added some values, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so important for people who want to get into this industry to actually understand what's going on within it. And what are the various different products that are available. And you have helped actually many students and many people in India and outside of India actually be able to get properly educated about natural diamonds. There are so many myths in our industry.
Sure.
There's a myth about De Beers being the holder of all diamonds of the world and controlling the industry and controlling prices. Where if you look at the reality of the situation, De Beers is about 30% market share of the world, right? They cannot possibly control the market anymore. Was there a time when De Beers had a larger market share and they actually had the ability to set the prices for rough? Yeah, there was a time where, in let's say the 80s and 90s and maybe before that, where De Beers was 80-90% of the market share. And what they did was set the prices of rough based on what they believed rough prices should be worth. And they spent, about $500 million on marketing natural diamonds to consumers. Every specific product today that consumers buy, whether that is an engagement ring or a 3-stone ring, the past, present, and future, or a halo ring, center of my universe, the Journey, which was a 5-stone product, a pendant or earrings, tennis bracelets. All of those were ideas and conceptions that came from De Beers to actually bring natural diamonds and create a story around diamonds. The one thing that we all have to agree is if we're sitting in front of a consumer, we're storytellers, right? We take a product, and I want you guys to really, really think and appreciate this of why natural diamonds. You know, people say natural diamonds aren't rare. People say there's so much natural diamonds available in the world, and so on and so forth. The rarity of natural diamonds comes into play when you think about how a natural diamond was made. Okay, a piece of graphite or coal that was burnt or made into a kind of ashes, if you will, somewhere between 1 to 2 billion years ago. Okay, goes and as you guys know, you know, more of the ground comes on top of the ground, and it continues to kind of layers start increasing, and as layers increase, you have more pressure on the layers below it. Imagine that there is a piece of graphite, you know, really hard coal, if you will, that is under so much pressure, that has the perfect temperature underneath it, that you know, the pressure is the best way of putting it is, think about the Eiffel Tower. Flip the Eiffel Tower upside down, and that needle that the Eiffel Tower is, which is much bigger than a hand, but imagine that needle of the Eiffel Tower being put on top of your finger. That's the amount of pressure that you need for a piece of graphite or coal to actually start having enough pressure for it to be able to start crystallizing or being compacted enough to become a diamond, because diamond is a carbon-carbon molecular structure. Now, with that, you also have to have the perfect temperature in order for that crystalline to start happening or occurring. Now, all of those things put together by chance underneath the ground, and then crystallizing and growing into a diamond, is truly a miracle, right? It takes a lot to be able to make that happen, and a lot of chance and so on. And we're lucky enough to be able to find those specific pieces of rough in various parts of the world, and then be able to take it and create a business around it. People who wear a diamond wear a product that is older than any dinosaur or any sort of fossil that you'll ever see. The average age of a diamond, the youngest is about 800 and some odd million years old. The oldest that we've found is about 2.4 billion years old. So you think about the age of a diamond, and what a person wears is older than any fossil that's out there. It really is a miracle. It is a truly a beautiful thing to talk about. And then if you take that story, which is a true story, and then incorporate it with other stories of what people like Feinstar, what people like Venus and other companies do for the communities that they live in,
Sure.
and how more than 10 million people rely on natural diamonds in being able to work and make money and so on and so forth. It really helps to develop a story that is true and effective. So I encourage you guys to know the product that you're dealing with. It is a miracle of Mother Earth, and we're able to actually take that and create beautiful masterpieces in order to allow a consumer to appreciate it.
True, absolutely true, I guess.
Any other questions?
I just
Do
want
you
to
have
ask
any
one question, Mahiar sir.
Yes.
So, a Unidiamond luxury group, they are doing a multiple product they are dealing in there, and out of that, this is one platform that Unidiamond,
Yes.
which you are president of it. So, exactly the data now in this world, the data is everything, you know. So,
Yes.
how much data is important for the futuristic business of diamond now? So, can you just put a little light on that? Like how you are
So,
getting that data and how your consumer, your customers, or your B2B players, manufacturers are using it there in this industry.
so so first of all, I think it's the most critical aspect of our business, right? Because it helps us actually understand not only what's happening today, but what's about to come, right? You know, we can look at the overall holistic data and tell you that prices are going to be slightly lower in the next 3 to 4 months, but will grow around October, November, and December. So if you're a person who actually buys diamonds and you're trying to get yourself ready for the holiday season, you know, you would know that this is the most ideal time to buy the natural diamonds, because as close to you get to, let's say, June, prices will start to go back up again. Once you get to around August is a good time to buy it as your secondary purchase time. But then after that, the prices are going to start increasing again. So for let's say a retailer, it's a perfect product to actually understand when to buy and what not to buy, and when specifically to buy what product. If you are a manufacturer, you can see what are the items that people are buying the most. What are the items that are selling the most? So if you have the opportunity to make a princess cut or a square emerald, you'd know that the square emerald is getting sold faster than a princess cut is.
Yeah.
So, you know, is it worth for you to lose another 5% yield to make a square emerald? And that 5% could be made up by the fact that you can sell it within the first 30 days? Or is it better for you to keep the 5% yield and sell it in 6 months? So data becomes quite important for a manufacturer, for a wholesaler who's stocking the goods, and also for a retailer who's trying to figure out when is the most opportune time to buy products and what products to buy. We had one of our retail partners a few years ago who was complaining about whenever they buy, market prices go down. And it's frustrating to them that they buy at the peak and they always have to write down their stock a few months later because they're a publicly traded company. So when we showed them the analytics on some of the products that they buy, they really were buying off the times that they should have purchased. And they were buying that way because that's how they've always bought. So if they were to just skew their purchases by a month and a half, and skew their production by a month and a half, they'd be able to be much more successful in what they're purchasing. And when they did, you actually saw it in the profit margins, right? So there's a lot of ways that data can help these companies become much more effective. We supply this data to banks and financial institutions that are providing financing into the industry. You know, for a lot of the banks, one of the unknowns has always been, what is your current stock worth today? Right? And that information is provided by the manufacturers or wholesalers. And that information, you know, could be a variant of 20 to 30% between one manufacturer or another, because there has never been something that showed what market prices truly are today. And we can actually provide that. Financial institutions are utilizing our product to be able to provide financing back into the industry. Why? Because there's a third-party product that audits and validates market prices on a daily basis. And therefore, at any given time, on any given day, they can see what the inventory value of their customers are. So it is one of the most critical products that could be out there today to help various parts of the value chain be able to make the right decisions. Other questions?
Do you have any insights? Do you have any insights about diamond traceability through blockchain technology, or how blockchain is being used here?
Yeah. So we are the only platform today that actually is linked with Tracer and has partnered with Tracer, which is the De Beers blockchain product. And we chose them as a product to utilize purely because they start at the mine. If you look at the other products that are out there that are blockchain products, they do not start at the mine. They start with the manufacturer telling you where those goods are from. And as much as I respect and appreciate our partners and our manufacturing partners, there's still that uncertainty of whether that diamond did come from that mine or not. At least in the eyes of someone who's auditing the process or trying to validate the information, etc. So there's about 3 different products that are out there today. There's iTraceIt, Everledger, and the Tracer product. And there's also Serin Technologies, which is not a blockchain product specifically per se, but it starts with the planning of a rough diamond. And if you put the origin of that rough diamond at that point, then what you get is the linkage of any polish that comes out of that through Serin Technologies information and data. Now, what I thought was brave, and I commend both companies for doing this, was Serin Technologies partnering up with Tracer to basically say, you know what, now we have the information from the mine. So let's start from the mine. Then when you get the stone and you put it on Serin to plan, then that will link to what we have data on blockchain, that is Tracer. And then from there, we will follow it completely to all the polish that came out of that rough. And we can definitely validate that these polish came from that specific rough, which has a blockchain ID number that actually you can use. And we're the only platform today that can show you the Tracer IDs for the stones, the rough weight, rough shape of the stone itself, and then how that stone was planned through Serin Technologies and become the polish that it is today.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do believe, given the G7 requirements, that is where we're going to have to be moving to in the technology side. And the reason why I like blockchain, it's purely because it's uneditable, right? Yeah. Once it goes onto blockchain, then it's not something that you can change your mind and say, well, actually this diamond is something else. It can't be, because you've actually started it and it will continue on its path. And I do foresee 20, 30 years from now, the Tracer keys could be actually a product that will help really bring the confidence to the consumer that this is a natural diamond. It is something that came from this place and it did go through this, and it is what people say it is. So
I think that'll replace the requirement of certification in future, basically.
It could, or it could become a merger of, right? The same way that Tracer decided to get with Serin could be the same way that a certification company can actually say, we'll come into it as well, because once you actually have all that data and information about the rough becoming the polish, you still need a third party to validate what that diamond is, right? Is it an H color,
Right.
VS1, XXX? Is it a G color, VS2, XXX? What is it? And that data and information still puts kind of a marker, if you will, of the quality of the product. So I do foresee technologies coming together, and I do foresee that even for certification, a lot of the technology could actually be done virtually, not physically. So I do foresee a lot of that information and product actually merging together towards one specific thing. Now, whatever that may be, is where we're going to see the future is going to lead to.
Yep. And do you think like database groups like database might control the sourcing of diamonds and before it enters into a blockchain? Like, for example, they may source some diamonds from Russia because they have a history of a lot of diamonds being sourced from Russia. But before it enters the blockchain, they might just say that it's from Botswana, for example.
No, and I'll tell you why. Diamonds are not a must-have product. Diamonds are a product that require confidence. So, you know, I always exemplify fur. If you look at fur in the 1980s and prior, they were the most luxurious product that a consumer could buy to show their wealth. But because of the way fur was being sourced, and because of the way that the farms treated the animals and everything else, PETA, which is an organization in the United States, went on an aggressive marketing around why people should not wear fur. And fur then drastically dropped in popularity, and the prices for fur drastically decreased, and many companies went bankrupt, etc. That confidence is the most critical aspect of our industry, because technically, if you think about it, people don't have to buy a diamond. They buy a diamond because it symbolizes something. It symbolizes love, relationship, durability, something that lasts forever, right? Now, to try and skirm your way or create unethical way of doing things will then hurt the consumer confidence of that product, which in turn will then impact the consumer's desirability to want to buy that product. So I can foresee a future where De Beers will be much more stringent on making sure that the diamond story is told properly, that the requirements or sanctions or whatever that the world has is being followed meticulously to ensure that the right things are being done with natural diamonds so that the consumer confidence continues to be there.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Team, anyone, any questions?
If I don't get another question from someone other than Yash, I'm going to be upset. Any women in the group?
Jaya, Samiksha, I'm sure
You can come with a nice question, I guess. No? She is dealing in luxury, very high-end customized jewelry product. So I think
There you go.
It's the time to go for your question.
Okay, sorry. I was actually just in the car, but I actually don't mind asking a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear, and it looks like a nice sunny day wherever you are.
It is. It's really nice outside. So actually, I had a question with like if you could provide an insight into like how the recent shifts and the trends have been in consumer preferences as well. within the diamond market. For example, like I just moved back to India from New York, and I see how diamonds are a completely different purpose, bought for a different purpose here. So
Yeah.
so sorry, I'm just gonna finish my question. So what I wanted to know is how that works with, like, when it's bridal, investment grade, industrial, like how to find the market you belong to and how to kind of like monopolize on that.
So, it's an interesting question, and the question leads me to ask a question which I'll try and answer as well. What makes Cartier Cartier? Cartier is Cartier purely because it is a brand that people recognize, trust, and believe that it is a product that is far superior than other products that are out there, or Tiffany, or Harry Winston, or Van Cleef, or Chopard, or Chaumet, or any of those luxury brands that you look at. Now, what we've seen is consumers' desirability for products have moved towards brands and have moved towards something that they can actually call their own. So a lot of consumers are moving away from just buying what everyone has and moving towards two different areas. One is brands, and second is something that's bespoke and individualistic for themselves, right? So if you have, let's say, if you're a jewelry designer and designing a jewelry and it's a signature piece, people will want it purely because it is not something that everyone else will have. The fact that it was handmade or specifically bespoke for them is something that they proudly like to talk about, right? And that's where we're seeing a lot of like demand from consumers moving towards. And that's why even retailers today, if you look at their retail stores, they have a specific area where they can actually sit and design a jewelry piece with you. Yeah. When you're purchasing that a specific product. So unless you're buying the Tiffany or the Cartier or I noticed you had, was it a Van Cleef bracelet? So, unless it's something that people can immediately recognize and say, that is Van Cleef, that is Cartier, that is Tiffany. What consumers are looking for is something that they can say, this was made specially for me. It's mine. No one else has it, right?
Uniqueness and individuality of it. But yeah. I have a follow-up to that. Doesn't that only for that kind of market, doesn't that apply to, like, say, like 1% of the world, because the prices are so, like, I can't be targeting. So essentially I'm working on margins and not numbers, correct?
Correct. But if I play the devil's advocate, a bespoke product can be made for $2,000 or it can be made for $200,000 based on the budget of the consumer, right? So your array of what you can actually develop for a consumer based on their budget can still be there. So a middle class person can actually be able to wear a bespoke piece, as well as a multi-billionaire, but the multi-billionaire is going to have a pink or a vivid blue diamond, and the other person is going to have, 10 or 20 smaller diamonds set in a specific way based on the story of them, based on how they explain themselves to you. So you can still work on those margins, but your decision on your customer base will purely depend on which area or which niche of those consumers you'll be able to attract the most. Are you going to be able to attract the Ambani family or the Mehta family who's middle class earning income in Mumbai or wherever you may be, that wants something special for their loved one?
Correct. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you for a woman asking a question. Yes.
My question is little different, Mahiar sir. The price of lab-grown diamond related, and I think I don't know why it kept on the price list of natural diamond. So can you put some light, because it's a, I think, little burning question, but I want to ask you.
A relation between natural and lab grown?
The price list, basically, in market.
There shouldn't be a price list for lab grown that's based off of natural. I mean, the fact that we're now talking about 99.8% below list.
So there should be something coming up from uni-platform or any third-party platform, isn't it?
Well, do we need a list? You know, that's the question. We know that a 1 carat stone is roughly about $100, $100 to $120 a carat. So
maybe the consumer, what is the MRP kind of thing, a consumer maximum retail price?
Yeah, and you know, what we've seen from our retail partners is, you know, for lab grown, they're putting anywhere from 5 times to 10 times the lab grown prices on lab grown. And I think they're also trying to figure out what's the right place to be. But their challenge is going to come in where later on this year, where Walmart actually sells a 1 carat lab grown engagement ring for $699. Wow. And when that happens, everyone is going to have to drastically decrease their prices. James Allen, Blue Nile, any of the other companies to a specific place. And quite honestly, I see now is a time of bifurcation of pricing of natural and lab grown, where, you know, lab grown should have its own pricing and natural should have its own pricing, and you shouldn't compare the two against each other. They're their own products. They can stand on their own. You know, one of the studies that we had done many years ago with De Beers was, if you were to be able to give a diamond to a consumer at a younger age, they will be able to buy 5 diamonds throughout their lifetime. Why not let that be a lab grown? You know, a pair of stud earrings, 1 carat total weight or 2 carat total weight, whatever it might be. A 1 carat total weight would be like $500-600. You could actually buy that, have that be your starting point, the desirability to want to buy something better and much more precious later on in the future in your life.
So, thank you.
Sure. Other questions? Well, all I can say, yes, I heard it.
Yeah, sorry. Just piggybacking onto the lab grown question that Raul had. I actually also wanted to know that, and it's a personal belief, like just like that. But I want to know what you think, like as a professional. Do you think lab grown is going to be like a fad and a trend that came into the market, took it by storm, and how everyone is like, just like now, like, oh, what's the point of investing in natural? Even a professional can't tell the difference, whatever. But do you think it's just a trend that's going to like die down? Because we see the difference between the prices of a lab grown diamond within the US as well, from say like 2 years ago to now, and plummeting every day. So is it just going to have a space in the market separately, more like a replacement to natural diamonds?
I do believe it will have a place. You know, if you look at consumers, you know, there are consumers that came in and bought a diamond that would have never purchased a diamond before, right? And those consumers will continue to be there for lab-grown diamonds. There was about a 30% influx of new customers that came into our industry that never would have purchased a diamond before. Now, what this could yield is two things. If the natural diamond business markets itself well, which I foresee that they will have to in the next 2 to 5 years, then the desirability of that consumer who bought a lab grown will want to own a natural diamond for the next purchase. I do foresee lab grown becoming more of the fashion item, the fast fashion products that are out there. I do foresee people, companies like Pandora increasing their lab grown sales. I do foresee companies like Swarovski increasing their lab grown sales. And I do foresee them putting things like cubic zirconia away, because technically you don't need CZ if you have lab grown at the same price as CZ. It will sparkle for a longer period of time. It will not break the same way that CZ does. It will not tarnish the way that CZ does. And you know, I foresee them actually becoming lab grown, becoming more of the fashion kind of staple for the industry, and natural taking its position for love and endurance.
That makes sense.
It's the same way that we saw, by the way, it's not the first time that this has happened. We saw this in pearls. We saw this in rubies, in emeralds, in sapphires, lab grown versus natural. It became a really big thing in the 70s and 80s, and then it crashed horrifically, and natural continued to take its position in place. Because, you know, at the end of the day, consumers, as you rightly said, want something that has the ability to hold its value much more effectively than lab grown
And
has.
this is something I noticed. I'm not speaking from like a graph or a market, but I see a lot of people like who invested a lot into diamonds, and it was their go-to to shift to kind of like gemstones and color stones, even for like engagement rings. And I'm talking about probably like maybe like the upper middle class and people who don't want to have that association to being a doubt of them owning a diamond. Because, and I actually asked this to a lady. I was like, why is it the sudden shift to like emeralds or rubies? So she was just like, I don't want the doubt associated to me wearing my diamond set, which I bought 20 years ago, for it to be considered lab grown. So how does that kind of play into the whole thing? Is it just the diamond industry has to focus a lot on marketing now, or just like how does that work?
100% correct. You know, if you look at, you know, someone saying exactly what they said, well, I don't want anyone to actually think I'm wearing a lab grown product. Well, lab grown rubies, emeralds, and sapphires have been there since the 70s, and have been marketed to the consumers since the 70s. You know, if you look at rubies and emeralds and sapphires, most of them still have some sort of a treatment to them. Not all, but most. Oil or heat or some sort of a treatment to actually make it more even. And you know, when you look for a product out there for a consumer and they are very particular about the product, they specifically ask, I don't want any treatments. And if it's an emerald, the only treatment that I'm willing to accept is minor oil treatment, for example.
Correct.
Right. And the reason why is because they want to wear as much of the natural product as possible. A diamond is the only product that you could truly say easily can be tested for natural or not validation for whether it comes from Mother Earth or it doesn't. So it's the only thing that's missing today is that generic marketing. You know, everyone went into brand marketing so much that they forgot that you still need the consumer to first fall in love with the product, then to fall in love with a piece of a product. So I do know that De Beers is working with Chatai Fook in China. They're working with Signet in the United States. It was announced recently on creating more generic marketing around natural diamonds. So I think the industry is very aware that we first need to get them to fall in love with diamonds. Then we can actually segregate it towards products within the diamond business. So that's missing. And once that comes into play in a strong way, I think it has a very effective means of responding to those consumers' concerns.
And just like to add something like here, the role of education will come more prominently. Because now again, there is a need of consumer education as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So to gain the trust back, I think the natural diamond, whether it is the lab-grown diamond industry, again, the education has to be there for the consumers to make them understand and to make the informed decision.
Got it.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think so. We have taken a little more extra time from Mahiar, sir. We should conclude, and he's so humble and honest opinions and veteran of our industry. Made very clear about the diamond, online diamonds, also the platform thing, as good as the current affair of the industry. I think Anand, you just give the conclusion note, and then we will hear from Mahiar, sir.
Thank you.
So, I mean to say thank you so much, sir. I mean to say, I would personally say that I don't know about the rest, but I took a lot of insights from you. I mean to say, for me, it was like I'm sitting in a first lecture of my diamond where I'm getting insights from a person who has been into plus and minus of this industry. And the best part, what I liked, sir, was that the way you explain, I guess, because the entire youth right now, all the students here, they need to know that right now the business is going where the market is going to be in future, and it's a trend. So I guess that was saying a very good takeaway for all of us, because at this stage, because all the students, sir, they come up with this question, they want to know that what to create a brand value, what should I. So I guess for all those students, this is going to be a very good insight that have to understand the trend. Where are the platforms where you have to look for your placement in the industry or equipped with? All the combinations will make you drive in the right direction in our industry. So I personally took a lot of insights from, and I'm looking forward to be connected, and I mean to say take as much as what I can for listening. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us.
Thank you all for your time. Congratulations for graduating, and congratulations for starting the journey for those who are new in the diamond industry. And if you have any questions or anything, you're more than welcome to direct it to me. My email is mahiar@uni.diamonds. It's not a .com. And our website is uni.diamonds with an S at the end. So anything that we can do to help, we're always here to help support those who are coming into the industry. And I look forward to catching up with you guys later on in the future. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
For your
sir.
valuable
Thank you.
input.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, team.
Thanks.
Thank you.